Well, hello. Here we are with I think it's the sixth video now in our spiritual law series, and how we use applied spirituality using the spiritual laws in our cancer journey. I'm Mercedes Warrick. Thank you for being here. The law of rhythm is a really powerful force, but it's also gentle and discerning. And when you understand those two things, the gentleness of this law and the discernment that you have as you use the law, it really can become a powerful force in your journey on so many different levels. The first time I came into really understanding the law of rhythm was in the hospital. I was actually in sort of a medical crisis. That's how my journey began. And I ended up 9 days in the hospital. And I was connected to a heart monitor and different things for oxygen. And first time in my life I was taking pain meds, like major pain medication. And so I wasn't able to come into my my God space, my inner vision, through the breath the way I normally could. My left lung was full of fluid. They were taking 1,000 milliliters of fluid out of my lungs every 3 days, basically, at that point. So the body's on overproduction. The body is thinking there's something wrong. Obviously there was. So the lymphatic fluid and the healing mechanism was on overdrive. And so that's why I couldn't breathe. I mean, I literally couldn't expand my lungs enough to get a good deep breath. Well, up until that point, I believed that the only way to get into God was through the breath. I teach meditation, contemplation. I have a proprietary breath and breathing sequence that I teach. And I teach Journey into the I Am Mind, 36 breaths, Journey into the I Am Mind. Everything was going in through the breath. And here I am in a situation that was pretty life-threatening at the time, and having to figure out another way to get to God. Well, I wasn't doing any figuring. I was doing laying. I was laying, and it was very surface. I was very much in this time-space dimensional reality. I could feel my body, and there was no floating off trying to get into any sort of empty space or meditative space. My inner vision, my inner voice, and my guidance told me to just be. And I was like, what are you talking about? Just be. Just be what, you know? And I just kept hearing I hear in my left ear, I just kept hearing, just be. And it was this very soothing voice, just be. So my guidance system was still here, but everything I knew to do, everything that would have been powered by me, was sort of circumvented. So I just went into just be. The hospital room was kept dark most of the time. The TV was not on. And I would lay quietly in the space. I was trying, as I was preparing for this video, I was wondering what I was thinking. I do know that there was some negotiations with the powers that be, whether or not I was going to, transition or stay. So I was having those conversations and negotiations, which is a whole other subject for another video. And I remember the heart monitor was bothering me. It was like it sort of was in my electromagnetic field, so I was having a hard time syncing up to the energy or sinking into the space. And that was very real. When they finally took that heart monitor off, I think it was almost 9 or 10 days later, it was just like this whole space opened up, so this is electromagnetics. When we talk about this being a mathematical design, and it's electromagnetic, and the entrainment of lining up and all of these different things, why sound works so well versus being in the silence until you get to a point of being really expert and understanding how to vocalize your thoughts. It can be a very interesting time. So this was my lesson, and I do believe that I am on a spiritual journey called Cancer, and I do believe that I am here to learn and discern and to bring into my spiritual life, my spiritual practices, methods to go deeper into God, to go deeper into the space called spirituality, both internally as a unified force. And we're going to talk about this today because the duality of living in our everyday workaday life, right? And then being in this place where we might hear things like be in the oneness and be unified with God, and I am God as I am, you are God as you are, I am you, we are one. And all of this conversation can create real conflict if you're earnestly going into your spirituality and designing and living a spiritual lifestyle. So this law is the law that more than anything else, any other law, deals with the duality and coming into synchronization and into the rhythm. Now, I think in the common lexicon, when we talk about the law of rhythm, you would say for everything there is a season. There is a planting, and there is a sprouting, and then there is a maturing, and there's a reaping, a sowing, and a resting. And that is the way that the law is generally spoken about. What we are talking about here, when I was given this assignment to talk about the laws, I was also told or asked to talk about it in a way that would give us some divine action. And so the divine actions are the divine order. So that's sort of for everything there is a season. That is a very real part of this law. The other part of this law that I don't think is talked about as often is the synchronization, divine synchronization, coming into alignment with the rhythms of God, with the rhythms of nature, with the natural order of things, because we are part of that. And in this world of technology, I just talked about the heart monitor interfering with my ability to go in this age of technology and the invisible electronics, I don't know the technical terms, but the invisible frequencies that the technology is producing, there's some real interference. And in some ways, Spirit has been talking to me about humanity or human beingness, losing the ability to go deeper or surpass those frequencies, that sort of electronic bombardment, back into the frequencies of nature and back into the frequencies of the beingness of Source. And so this law, when we apply it, we are really, or when I apply it, I'm going to talk about it in terms of the I for right now. When I apply it, I am really thinking about getting in synchronization with some of the things that happen in the natural forces of nature and the natural flow of God. So the idea of just being, I think when I'm on these videos, I get so into God, my eyes start to water, and I go into the space, and it's just sort of this pure peace feeling. So when I talk about just being, that is a state, it's not really a state of even emptying yourself out. There is no stress. There is no seeking. I'm seeking to be in this space. You just are. And that, in my experience, has taken some time. So now I'm in this medical crisis. I have nothing better to do or able to do than just be. And once I got past, am I living or dying here, and the pain subsided and things like that. I mean, there's some very real things that can be poking at you and sort of dragging you off into attunement or paying attention to different things. But in the dark hours of the early morning is when I still practice this, and I am very quiet. I just stay quiet. Just quiet. It's just quiet. And after a while, you'll begin to feel the rhythms. I call it the rhythm of your life. Whenever you're in a meditation, with me, I say, go into the rhythms of your life. Go into the rhythms of your being. I will be counting out a breath sequence. I will be taking you through maybe a guided meditation. But after a while, after that initial time, what I'm really hoping for you, desiring for you, is that you almost don't hear my voice. You just sort of hear it on the subconscious level, and that you go into your rhythms and your breath sequences and your synchronized experience with Source. So there is sort of this pendulum swinging, right? And so there's this sort of the natural heartbeat of nature, we'll say the natural heartbeat of Source. There's this natural rhythm, and you can feel it. And the times that I've experienced it has come in waves like the ocean, and I could feel the waves flowing through me. And I visualize the healing frequencies, the healing light of God flowing into me and through me. And that's one way, the synchronization, and you just get into the synchronized rhythm with nature, right? So the light energy, the lightness, the light energy, and you may even feel like your body is sort of melting away, and you really get into your energetic, your light beingness, and you just feel the waves of God, the rhythms of God. The other thing is boom, 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 your heartbeat. That's a natural rhythm. You're not controlling that rhythm. You just feel your heartbeat. That's another natural. So bringing your heartbeat into synchronization with the flow of God or the flow of nature, right? When we align with these rhythms on our cancer journey, we are not seeking to cure cancer. Very rarely will you hear me say the word cure. My guidance was very clear that we come into the rhythms of synchronization and we regenerate, we renew, we rejuvenate, and as we're coming into that synchronization, everything is just sort of flowing, and then you can actually feel the healing frequencies flowing through you. Okay, when I've had those experiences, they're really special, And so every day I spend some time, as little as 5 or 10 minutes, as long as an hour or hour and a half, just laying in the desire and laying in the actual beingness of just being in the healing frequencies, in the synchronization with Source. Now, the unification of duality, this could get really convoluted, so I'm just going to be very surface with it. We live we are synchronizing the time-space reality, our body, our physicality, our form, the form, with the no time, no space oneness of creation. And when those two things unify, we can manifest into form. Okay? And I'm not there, If I was there, I wouldn't be sitting here on this journey still. So this is definitely guidance. And I wrote down the unification is bringing energy into form. That's what I wrote down this morning. So we're bringing that source energy. Now, let's try to combine some of these laws. What are we bringing into form? Polarity. We're moving from a space of imbalance into a space of balance. unifying that energy. That's why we talk about affirmations being frequencies and energy. When we go into being in that energy of wellness, okay, the energy of wellness, when we go into being the energy, shifting the dial to the energy of wellness, and then bringing ourselves into a rhythm of wellness. Okay, can you see how that might be? And as we're bringing ourselves into the rhythm of wellness, I'm going like this because of I love the ocean. So bringing ourselves into the rhythm of wellness, and then releasing, not thinking about it, releasing our mind, and then exhaling just into the rhythm of wellness and coming into divine synchronization with that space, right? With that space, that God space, that God rhythm, the rhythm of nature, if you'd like to put it that way as well. Staying into that God rhythm of wellness. You may become aware of your heartbeat. You may become aware if your eyes are closed. There may be light energy, the colors, your inner light show may be changing. You may get pinks and golds and yellows, whites or blues or whatever. Green is the healing color. And coming into the synchronization of the colors of healing and the well-being frequency and the flow of God. This is coming into the rhythm of your wellness, right? The rhythm of your life, the rhythm of your healing, the rhythm of source. Okay? So it is taking the form, the actualized form in our case, and almost like returning it or synchronizing it back into energy to then bring it back into form in a different manifestation or in a shift. That's how we're utilizing the law to manifest or create a new shift for ourselves. In my experience, it has taken time. I'm not there where I can just say $5 bill and look down and there's a $5 bill, but I've had a tremendous amount of peace. And in my world, in my training and in my experience, when I get into that place of peace, miracles happen. Things start to shift and move but peacefully and in a way that is honoring everything around me, everyone around me, and then coming into the actualized feeling of love and blessings. I am the blessing. I am blessed. Remember the blessed. I am the blessed. We talked about that in another video. I am the blessed. Bless me. Bless them. Bless it. You come into this state of peace where everything around you, when we say, then you come into synchronization and you can look and see the energy of life in everything that you experience, right? The consciousness of living, the consciousness of life, the consciousness of source, the consciousness of creation. So this is how the law is applied. I'm just looking at my look. The other thing is we talked about the vibration, the law of vibration. And these two I like to use together because the law of vibration, we talked about it being just divine knowing. Just knowing that God is working, God is in action. So when you put that knowing, divine vibration, and activate that law with the law of rhythm, bringing things into synchronization, you're not, but be careful because you're not doing it. You're allowing and just being, just presenting yourself into this space. So you may have what we would call the intention of healing, like set the intention before you go into the space of just being. And it's different from meditation. It is literally, you're not listening for anything. You're just literally in training, synchronization, lining up, all of those kinds of words with what I say to myself is I'm aligning myself with the heartbeat of God. I'm aligning myself with the natural rhythms of creation. I am aligning myself aligning myself with the heartbeat of God. I am aligning myself with the natural rhythms of creation. Okay. So as we go through this, I want you to think in terms of releasing the confusion around duality and oneness. In order to bring oneness into form, oneness into this dual space, the time-space, from no time, no space. But we live here. We have to have things that are tangible. We have to have our body back in full balance and well-beingness. These are things that are tangible, like you can touch them, you can make sound, touch, taste, hear, smell. We're bringing the sixth sense into the fifth sensory, but as we keep the awareness and the beingness of the sixth sense. And that's the unification of form and non-form, time and no time, space and no space, unknown and known. And as the growth is to understand that we are living in a world that is unknown to us. Do we really know what's going to happen in the next moment, in the next breath? So we're living in a world that's unknown to us, that is known to us through the unknown. We are living in a world that is known to us through the unknown. Does that make sense? So in my way of thinking, in my experience, what I get so excited about is the laws, and how we use the law gives us a place to be, gives us a place to go, gives us a place of inquiry when something doesn't really feel right and you want to do something differently. It gives us a place to come into that space. And what I am really hoping that you'll bring into your personal living lifestyle, bring these laws into your spiritual toolkit and play with them. Again, I usually say, okay, the work is the work and the work is the work. This is, it is work from the standpoint of maybe you have to go into a personal practice and you have to become aware of it, and you might want to do some more research. I've just touched the surface of the laws, and also with Spirit telling me to give you the divine action so that you would hopefully begin to design some ways. How am I coming into synchronization with the heartbeat of God? Right? How am I coming into balance with what is not in alignment? I've actually been at dinner, had a very bad waiter or waitress, obviously having some life happening, closed my eyes, literally in my beingness said, okay, we're going to bring this experience back into balance and harmony, and exhaled, and the waiter came back, in a totally different attitude, These are things that you can start utilizing. Some of them I'm better at. Some of them I forget. I was spinning the other day, and I heard myself spinning, and I said to the friend that I was talking to, okay, stop. Do not allow me to use your energy in this way. Now, listen to what I'm saying. This is Mercedes, who was teaching this, supposedly. We are not teaching. I am getting inspiration from my guidance. Okay? I am in a state of learning. Okay? And so, therefore, I still do stuff that is, stupid stuff. Sorry, that's not really a very spiritual way of putting it. But I do things unconsciously. That would be a better way of saying it. So unconsciously, I'm using my friend's energy because she's trying to support me, and she's trying to hear me, and she's trying to get me unconfused, and she may be becoming confused herself because now she's not really quite understanding what I'm talking about, right? And so we're in this circular conversation about things that have happened in the past that might be affecting things that are in the future. So I've definitely stepped out of the balance point of the now, right? So I'm definitely imbalanced during the course of this conversation with my friend. And at some point I said, wait a minute. First of all, I apologize because I'm taking your time and I'm taking your energy, and we're sitting here trying and probably pulling you into my confusion. So that was the first thing. I said, I just apologize to you. This isn't appropriate. It's certainly not appropriate with somebody with my awareness. What law are we going to apply to, first of all, bring me back into the now, and second of all, apply the law to create a shift so that I can come back into peace in the situation. When I go to sleep, I'll put a question. When I go into my 36th breath, I'll put a question forward and allow the bubbling up to come forward, and that hopefully will bring me into a balance point. Okay, so this is how you use the laws on a day-to-day basis. The other thing that we do in my circle is we do the check-in. How you doing? What's going on? That sort of thing. If it deteriorates into woe's poor me, what I've instructed my crew to do is pull it back into which law, Mercedes, are you going to apply to shift this situation or shift the way that you're thinking about it. My hardest times of the month is going to the doctor. I go to the doctor at least once a month. Take the blood test, get the results, figure out if the medicines are working or not working or whatever they're doing, the cocktail. And I can come out of those. The doctor is managing my quality of life and extending my life. They are not managing, first of all, cure is not in their vocabulary. So if I start talking about regeneration, whoops, right? So with the diagnosis I've received, they are managing the worst case scenarios and creating the least case scenarios to extend my life. That's really putting it politely. So when I go to the doctor's office, I'm going into a situation once a month where they're managing side effects, where they're managing, what did he tell me one time? I'm trying to remember. Manage and contain. Don't want this cancer to spread. And I'm working on regenerating and renewal. Okay, so just the language is so different when I walk into the medical system. I have a good doctor. I've had actually two very, very, very good doctors. I've really been blessed, but it's just a different mindset, right? So I have to use these laws and principles. I'm really working on, when I know I'm in a little bit of mastery, is I go into the doctor's office, it doesn't shift me at all. I go in, I come out. The last 4 months has not been like that. I've had to do work before I go in there, have the experience, do work as I'm coming out of there, But this is giving me a mechanism to stay in my power, to stay empowered, to know that I can do something. I've used these laws, and the law of synchronization, or the law of rhythm in particular, to manage my pain. I have not had a lot of pain. I've been very, very, very blessed. I really, on the scale of 1 to 0, my pain has probably been about a 3 or 4, possibly a 5 at times. I really experience more discomfort than actual pain. And so when I go into that flow, I've actually imagined myself laying in a stream, a real stream, with the cool water flowing around me. And as I come into the just beingness of hearing the water trickling around me, just hearing that natural water sound, that water, the stream, and then imagining the sun on my face. I love the feeling of the sun, and imagining that the healing stream of God is synchronizing with the energy source that I am. You know, the body is the temple or the vessel, and there is my energy, the energy that I am, that's eternal, flows in, and those two, the sunlight and the God energy and my energy, all comes together, and we come into rhythm and synchronization. And then I just lay there and allow this energy to literally flow through me, and eventually the water flows through me. I don't know if you've ever seen water, and you can see the sunlight reflecting off of the water, and the water comes into my body, and then the water flows out, circulates all through my organs, my brain, my organs, my eyes, my lymphatic system, the endocrine system, the skeleton, just all through my body, the blood vessels and the veins and the arteries, and it beats out through my heart, and I just become this unified, synchronized flow of rhythm and light. And then I let the energies flow out through the bottoms of my feet, and then I just let the stream flow through me and sort of swirl around all the different places in my body, and then it just picks up the pain and it just flows out through the bottoms of my feet. So this is how you can use these laws to move and shift something that's very real, that's happening in your on your journey. One other thing they're saying to me: you use the laws to energize and activate the food that you're eating. That's the other thing. They just pushed at my tongue and told me to tell you that. It's very simple. In Reiki or anything, you can energize your hands, and then you come, if you pray over your food, it's the same thing, and you do your prayer, and then you just place your hands over the food and allow the natural laws of God to flow into this food to benefit you for your highest wellness, well-being, wealth, and wealth and prosperity. And you'll see me at times, if you've ever had a meal with me, I'm just putting that in. But that's actually new information for me too, because most of the time, truthfully, I'm channeling Reiki or gratitude into my food. So they're also saying is channel the laws directly into your food and the divine actions. You know, we talked about synchronization and order, harmony and balance. Love as a force, the oneness of God. Channel in the oneness of God into your food so that everything that you eat is for your well-being. Every now and again, especially on this journey, I in particular have had food guilt. You know, I've been eating very, very well. I ate very, very well for a year. I was juicing and mostly a plant-based diet and other things, and then you know, I'd have a piece of bread or something, and it would be like, oh my God, this bread could be feeding the cancer. I'm just going to talk in very real terms. I ate this could be feeding the cancer. Well, in truth, in reality, the only thing that I've seen experts agree upon across the board is sugar. Do not eat sugar. You know, sugar is not good for you, and it feeds the cancer and everything. Everything else, I found there could be a pro and a con. Now, so that's why my role here is not to say this is the way I did it, this is the way I'm doing it, or this is what cured me, because none of that is in play here. All I'm saying to you, and all I'm doing, is imparting some information on how I have used the laws to perhaps help me along the way. Okay. And the other thing that's happening here is that if you take any of this into your personal practice, it is my real wish, desire, hope, this is part of the reason why I'm doing it, is that you come into a way of having a discernment for yourself, that you can come into a way of being at peace with the decisions that you're making, because there's so many of them to make during this journey. And so we don't want to spend time second guessing ourselves or beating ourselves up or apologizing to friends. You know, we can have a way of creating a space to come into the consciousness of living. And then when we get into a cycle from the medical field, or a friend who doesn't believe that you can survive this, we're going to just really talk real. You know, a friend that's heard stage 4, and in their lexicon and their experience, they just know that that means that you're on your way out. You know, I've had people say, you should put together a bucket list. No, I live my bucket list is my life, and how I live my life, and my desires and dreams and goals and aspirations are the things that I do every day. You know, and that may be going to Paris, or that might be going to Sedona, that might be sitting in my living room enjoying my water fountain. I wanted a water fountain in my living room. I've always had one, didn't have one for 2 years, and you know, I went on a hunt for a water fountain. That's what I wanted. I wanted the sound of running water in my home. So this idea of aspiring and manifesting and creating material things around you're diagnosed because you've been diagnosed one way or the other, for me would have created, at the time, it would have created disappointment. You know, 'cause I couldn't go on a plane and go to Egypt. It's one of the things that I thought I wanted to do, and then when I actually really sat down and thought about it and figured out where I was going to go and how I was going to do it, Egypt fell away. It wasn't an important thing in my life. The important thing in my life was feeling the sun. Important thing in my life was being able to hug a tree. It got real simple really quickly. So the law of rhythm allows you to be in entrainment with source, which means it allows you to attach, allows you to come into synchronized energy, a synchronized field, so literally you're lined up with no separation. Then it also allows you to release the idea that there's this dual sphere and this unified sphere, and then we're striving to get unity. It is a interplay between unification and duality that allows us to take energetic form, energetic non-physical, and bring it into physical form, and take physical form into the energetic non-physical space. And as we play, I'll let you know how I'm doing, but as we play with this concept and using the law as divine action, or applied spirituality is another way that I've said it, but divine action or applied spirituality, when you start utilizing these things and understanding and experimenting and playing and having some fun with it, then it becomes part of your lifestyle, and it will definitely give you a different way to step onto your path as you journey through this moment called cancer. I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you very deeply. That's what my guidance always says as we're signing off here today. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you for being here.